Hey everyone, I got some comics back from CGC and also from a presser. So what I did is I sent out some comics of mine almost 2 years ago now for them to be pressed and cleaned because these are some very old comics. They've been around since the 40s, and I wanted them there were some wrinkles and such, and I wanted them to be presented better so that then they can be graded professionally, some of them, and see what grades they come back. So I'll show you that today. Also, this will serve as a dual purpose video for the CBCA as well, because even though it was written, where is it written, that, here, that these were, or is it returned goods? Yeah, there you go, returned goods. I still got struck with a customs fee, a duties fee, $100. So I have to now prove that these were actually my books and not something that I bought abroad that has to be taxed again. I was already taxed the first time when these came back from various places like heritage auctions and such. So I'm proving that whatever is in the box is also what's listed in the comics that I sent to the people to be graded and to be pressed. Well, let's not with it. First, I'll start with the comics that did not get graded after, because there's some books that I just wanted them to look better for my personal collection, and I'll share them with you. Okay, so we have here Captain Marvel Adventures number 26, Master Comics number 31. This one is gorgeous. I'm very happy with how this panned out. If you're wondering, so what pressing did mostly for this kind of book is that this book has spiral, which means that the front cover was much more that way. Like if I were to look at the book like this, didn't fall like that. You actually had a bunch of, it was, how do I explain this? Basically, it was folded improperly. Over the years, it was folded badly, and thus you had a lot more pages going that way, and then some pages going the other way. So it looked terrible. You know, if you go from the back, you would just see a bunch of like pages being flipped. So in this case, it looks proper, and that happens to most of my books. So I'm very glad that got fixed. There we go. We have Captain Marvel Adventures number 52. Amazing Spiderman number 22. This one was just like rolled up. That's how I got it. It looked terrible. So like the person really flattened it out and made it look like a proper old comic. Still not a great grade, but at least it looks better and I can read it properly. We have Daredevil number 4, first appearance of Purple Man. He was the bad guy played by David Tennant in the show called Alias on Netflix. And you have Mary Marvel, I believe it's number 7. I'm not sure because it's cut off a bit. Old comics are like that, they're not printed properly. But yeah, it's better. Police Comics number 73. Captain Marvel Adventures number 12. This one turned out great. It looked like garbage. I'll be honest. It looked like major garbage when I bought it. There were folds all over the place. It looked like scrunched up, but now it looks really proper. And I'm very happy about that. So the presser that I dealt with did a great job. You have Captain Marvel Jr. number 64. This one had a giant fold all across it, and it was also stained. And I don't know if you could still see. Oh, sorry, I went this way. I don't know if you could still see it. The crease is still a bit there, but what's great is that the dirt's all been removed. So that's it's very helpful. The eye appeal is amazing now. And we have Captain Marvel Jr. number 17. So those are the books that I just pressed. This one also had a very terrible spine roll. And now I'll show you the books that came back graded. So we've got Detective Comics number 109. And no, I won't be doing a thing where you see people on YouTube going like this. I don't see the grade. I don't know what it is. The thing is this: the grade is on top. It's on the back, so they know what grade it is. So whenever they're looking like all surprised, like, oh my god, it's a 6.0. It's just like acting. They know what grade it is. But anyways, we'll have fun now, okay? And I know I will not pull this off with you. I won't do that too. Anyways, 6.0. I bought as a 4.0 from Heritage, so the pressing definitely helped boost up the grade. Then we have a Detective Comics number 135. You'll see there's something very different about this comic. It's written here Canadian edition. So these were obviously only sold and purchased in Canada. The same content of Detective Comics 135 in the US. It has the same stories inside of Batman and of the other superheroes and detectives inside Detective Comics. However, there are none of the ads. So even the back is an ad for DC Comics proper. So there's no like ads for American products. They didn't replace them by Canadian products. They just took out all the ads. So the book sold on its own merit. And there you go. And it's 9.0. So is the highest graded. It's also the only graded. So yeah, fun. And we have Wiz Comics number 78, a book from 1946 that got 9.0 score. That's pretty awesome. It's good. We have Daredevil number 168. This is the first Elektra. What's fun about this is I bought it from Heritage as a 9.0. It was in a slab, which means it had already graded and everything. However, when I looked at it, it looked good at first. I mean, it looked a lot like this, and now it's 9.4. The difference is that there were a bunch of like little folds, little creases that a press could just flatten out, and thus they're not there anymore. So if the defect is there, then the grade goes up, and that's what happened. So it went from 9.0 to 9.4. Sadly, though, the book, even though that went up, and that usually means that the price goes up, the value goes up. This book went lower in price since the time that I bought it, and since there's so many sold on the market, the integers, like the price difference between a 9.0 and a 9.4 on some days may be very small, some days may be very big. So I don't know if I know I got a much nicer comic now, that's fun, but a more valuable one, debatable. And we have Detective Comics number 523. That's the first cameo appearance of Killer Croc. Detective Comics number 583. First appearance of the ventriloquist, Scarface. So there you go. This is too bad. This is Marvel Family 36. I bought it as an 8.0, so no huge surprise there, but I was hoping for more because I think it's a lovely, lovely, lovely book. Too bad there's reflection coming off and a lot of glare, but the colors are super bright, super bold. It looks fresh. The problem is that the staples, and I'll show them to you here, the staples have some rust that migrated. That means it stained the actual paper. So that's just a big no-no. You'll see it on the other side too. And that brought the grade down, whatever would it be, a 9.2, 9.0, it just went down to an 8.0. It's too bad. But I did want to preserve it though, because I'm a clumsy person, and I was worried that I'd mess up with this book. Even though it's technically a lower grade, it is a gorgeous and lovely book, and I'd like to make sure it stays that way. Then we have a Master Comics 76, also a 9.0, so that's fun. 9.0, by the way, for Golden Age comics is quite high grade. Some of these are either top 3, top 5, or in the case of the Detective Comics one, it was the highest graded. What's fun here, you'll see the difference. This one's blue, that one's gold. That's because this is actually part of a pedigree collection. It means that this was part of a giant collection of very old comics that were all kept by the same owner that picked it out during the years. Usually it's like thousands in a collection. And this is a piece of that collection. This was Davis Crippen's collection, and he would put little D's or DID in this case, I think. Or D12. Yeah, I think it's more of a D12. I'm not sure. In any case, that's how you could tell that it was his collection, and those get a special mention. That's why it's called a pedigree label. Now, this one's interesting. I was a big dum-dum though. So this is a Brave and the Bold 200, the first appearance of some of the outsiders. So Katana. I believe it's Katana, Geoforce, and Halo. But like really, it's only Katana really matters. She's the character that has quite a legacy now in DC. This book did not look super great. Did not look 9.0. There was, you don't see it anymore. Well, that's a good sign. But here in the back, it looked like somebody had scribbled on a piece of paper on top of the book. So it actually created some indentation. And that was pressed out. So that defect was gone, and thus you have what is essentially a flawless 9.8. It's not a 10, so there's flaws, but the flaws are minimal or due to, or at least CGC would deem them, like the flaws are due to the composition or creation of the comic, manufacturing defect. In terms of where, there would be practically none. That's what a 9.8 means. Now, being back to Big Dum Dum, you'll see that, I didn't notice, you see that $2 here? This book, if you look online and you write Brave and the Bold number 200, you won't see it for $2. You'll see it for cheaper, because this is the Canadian version, and this would be the highest graded Canadian version. There's very few other that exist. I've got to check. I'm not sure if this is how many there are. I don't know how rare it is that there's a 9.8 of a Canadian edition. Sadly though, because I had not realized this, I didn't write it, and thus it's not on the label anywhere. However, I don't really care much. One, because it's from my personal collection, but also because you can tell it's $2. It's not like it says that, oh, there's a poster inside that's inserted. Well, you can't see, it's not inside. But if this is on the cover speaks for itself, so I'm fine. I do not mind that's not written there. It's okay. Here is one at the disappointment of mine. This is a Mr. Miracle number 6. Is it cool in a 9.0? No, it's not. It's not. There's a first appearance of a few villains, but a 9.0 is nothing to write home about. I believe everything. It's because of this corner here. I don't know if you see it. I really didn't think it would be hammered this badly. Like you saw in my other books, some have quite a few defects, and they came out higher. Like for example, the first appearance of Scarface, and yet this one gets to 9.0, which is not optimal. Also because it's from 1972, it costs more to grade. So I paid more to get a grade that I honestly would not have. If I knew it was 9.0, I would not have sent it. But look, it's okay. Got it here. Can't win them all. This one I'm also disappointed. This is Star Slayer 2, the first appearance of the Rocketeer. And I really thought I would get a 9.8 here. Okay, sure, 9.6. So look, I was off by 0.2 grades. The only blemish I could see though, I don't know if you can see it, it's that corner. It's not clear, right? Yeah, you don't see it clearly. But this corner is not entirely like perfectly straight. Every other corner is. I don't know. I don't know what. Like, I'm surprised. This is actually one of the nicest books that came back, and I mean, just in terms of the grade that I thought, and it's not the highest graded. I think my Brave and the Bold 200 has bigger problems. Maybe it's 9.6. But look, I don't know. It all depends. It's all depending on what other books of that kind look like. Every book is judged inside a vacuum. So maybe Star Slayer, this particular comic, the corner has to be exactly cut in a certain way, perfectly straight, not blunted in any minuscule fashion. And that's when we get 9.8. I don't know. Then I also got some books back from a signing. Since I'm in Canada, I sent the books, and somebody in the States held them for me so I could get all the books back at the same time, because the signings are much quicker to be graded. So here I got a Thor 337. See, like this, I could tell, okay? You can see what the problem is with this book. Actually, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the spine is not perfect. There's a few ticks. 1, 2, 3 ticks. That's all you need for a 9.6. I get that. It's valid. I have no problem with this grade. I got problems with this grade, but this one, no problem. So, Thor 327, that's the first Beta Ray Bill, obviously. It is a newsstand variant. However, in this case, apparently for this particular book, a newsstand variant is not that big a deal. Apparently, there are more newsstand versions out there than direct copies. The difference, if anybody's wondering and doesn't know what I'm talking about, some books, I'll give you an example of the one I have. You see this book here? There's no barcode. There's a picture of Spiderman. That means that it was bought at a comic book shop. This one doesn't have Spiderman or anything like that. It just has a barcode, because this is the barcode that's used at a magazine store or a newspaper stand or something like that. So that's why they call it a newsstand version. Apparently there's a lot of them out there of this kind. And this is signed by Walt Simonson, the creator and the illustrator, and then the writer of this whole comic. Then yes, I've got this for the Mark Bigley signing. I have Amazing Spider-Man 361 and 362. And they came back as I expected. So this is a 9.8, which means technically flawless, I guess. And this is a 9.6. I'll be honest though, there is a difference, but not because of where. See, the thing is this happens a lot. All comic books were printed to be as cheap as possible. They were rags for a lesser sense, right? That's why so few of the old ones survive. Of course, people became collectors. They kept them in good shape, and thus we used to have many of them today, including this book. But they were made very cheaply. So this one here, I don't know if you can tell, but like right here. There's like a cut here. This is not something due to wear. Most copies have that cut. It's from the printer. So that's not what caused it to be a 9.6. However, I'm not really sure what else it is. Well, look, I don't mind. I bought this book for very little back in the day, so it's fun to have it. And yeah, it's signed by the creator of Carnage, the guy who drew this cover right here and who drew inside the book as well. So that's all I have. I don't know when I'll be sending books back since prices went up, and also it takes, you know what, if you don't fast track right now, sending a book to CGC would take you 1 year and a half for it to be pressed, as I did with these books, and then graded. So not optimal. I guess I'll just wait. Thanks again. Thanks a lot for watching. I wish you all the best, and hopefully, if the CB, what are you called? CBSA is watching, just give me back my $100. These are my books. I don't have to pay duty on them. All right. Take care. Bye.